My mother, 49 years old, is likely getting remarried, and I, 27 years old, am struggling with my feelings about it. This is going to be lengthy because there's lots of background info. I wanted to apologize for that up front. In 2020, my father was ended the life of very suddenly as a pedestrian who was run over by a vehicle. This happened in front of my youngest brother, Paul, who was 13 at the time. My other brother, Jeff, and I arrived at the scene shortly afterward and had to later tell my mom that he passed away. As you can imagine, this was a very significant event in our lives. My father loved us very much, but was not a great husband to my mom. He was nearly 20 years older than her and always provided monetarily so she didn't have to work, but was never faithful to her. Again, not a great husband. Now, I am expecting my first child with my husband, which will also be the family's first grandchild. My mother had always made it clear that the next stage in her life was being a grandma, and she wanted to focus her priorities around that. My husband and I live in my hometown, and my mom and brothers live about 3 hours away. My mother has really wanted to move closer to me as this is her hometown as well, but she was waiting until my brother Paul was older, as he's currently 16 years old, and didn't want to move away from his friends. My mom started talking to a man from Vegas at the beginning of February, and has told us all that they're going to get married. My mother is extremely religious, and this man was previously a pastor because his wife divorced him a few years ago. My mother said that his wife was bipolar and decided that she didn't want to live in Vegas anymore, and she wanted to move back to Minnesota and decided to do that without him. My mom is head over heels for this guy and is so in love and excited. I'm happy for her because she deserves a healthy romantic relationship, but she's told us that she's definitely going to marry him, and that if he can't find a job in our area, that she'll move to Vegas to be with him. That's almost a 24-hour drive from all of her children. My youngest brother Paul is still a minor, but my mom said he's free to come with her or find somewhere else to stay. She doesn't care either way. She keeps telling us that this guy is so excited to be part of a full family with us. I don't know why he's saying this because he has 2 adult sons. I don't want to be selfish, and I respect that my mom has her own life and is entitled to make her own choices. But I am really struggling with accepting this guy, and I have immediate negative reactions to him. I haven't even met him yet. My mother has only met him in person once, but he's worth changing all of her plans for within a month of talking to him on the phone? Again, maybe I'm being selfish here, but I would have hoped that the plans she made with her children would hold more weight than this guy. Also, I have a huge issue with the possibility this guy would want to be considered my child's grandfather. He can be my mom's husband, and maybe after a while, if he has a great relationship with my child, we can consider it. But as of now, he's a complete stranger to me, and I think it's crazy to consider him my family as of now. But my mother is very insistent that he's sent from God and that he really wants to be a part of us. I don't know, I'm really struggling with this. I'm sure part of it is because my father died, and in many ways I worry about this guy replacing him. Which isn't this guy's fault. It's just emotions on my side. But I also feel like my mom is moving crazy fast, and I don't think I should have to feel like a stranger's family. People who have been through getting a new step-parent in adulthood, how did you handle it? Am I being selfish here, and I just need to let my mom be happy? Or is my mom moving crazy fast and pushing this on us too much? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think the only thing you can do is ask to meet him, and then tell him your concerns. His reaction will give you a better impression. If he's a stand-up dude, then he'll take steps. He might insist on a prenuptial agreement after all. He may decide to slow things down with your mom so that you can get to know each other and be the family he says he wants. Alternatively, maybe your mom's eyes will be opened when he's totally dismissive of your concerns. At least all the cards will be on the table. Comment 2. Unfortunately, your mother is an adult and she can date and potentially marry whoever she wants, even if she doesn't know the person for long. You may have to watch this crash and burn and just let her know that she can still count on you all if this situation doesn't work out. As far as your kid goes, you do not have to accept this man as your child's grandfather. He's a stranger. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So last week, things escalated quickly. My mom announced she was flying to Vegas to elope with this guy. I was floored. I mean, they'd only met once. I tried to talk her out of it, but she was adamant. I made the mistake of telling her that she was making a huge mistake, that she barely knew him. She got so mad at me, she hung up and didn't talk to me for days. Then, out of the blue, she called crying. The wedding was off. Turns out, her fiancé had a gambling problem. He'd lost a lot of money, and he'd been hoping to use my mom's savings to bail himself out. She was heartbroken, but I couldn't help feeling a bit relieved. I thought this would be a wake-up call for her, but no. She forgave him, said everyone has flaws and that they'd work through it together. She's still planning to move to Vegas after they sort things out. I couldn't believe it. I was angry, not just at him for taking advantage of her, but at her for not seeing the red flags. Meanwhile, my brother Paul was freaking out. He didn't want to move to Vegas, and he didn't want to leave his friends. He asked if he could live with me and my husband. We said yes, of course. But when we told our mom, she accused us of trying to tear the family apart. She said we were stealing her son from her. I was trying to protect Paul, but it backfired. My mom saw it as a betrayal. She said I was trying to replace our dad with my husband as a father figure for Paul. That hurt. I was just trying to do what was best for my brother. And then, as if things couldn't get more complicated, my mom's fiancé's ex-wife reached out to me. She told me he'd done the same thing to her, that he had a pattern of luring women in with his charm and then using them for money. I was sick to my stomach. I wanted to tell my mom, but I knew she wouldn't believe me. She was too far gone. So I kept it to myself, which I know was wrong. But I didn't want to lose my mom. I was already on thin ice with her, and I couldn't risk it. I'm ashamed of that decision, but I felt trapped. Now my mom's planning to move in a month. She's selling the house, the one we grew up in, and it feels like she's selling out our family too. Paul's moving in with us next week, and I'm grateful for that, but it's bittersweet. My mom's so caught up in this whirlwind romance that she's leaving everything else behind. I'm about to become a parent myself, and I'm scared. I don't want my child to grow up without my mom around. I don't want to lose her to this man and his lies, but I don't know how to stop it. I feel helpless, watching her throw her life away. And through all this, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being selfish. Maybe I should just be happy for her. But it's hard when I see her making such a big mistake. I just hope she realizes it before it's too late. Thanks for reading. My partner watches inappropriate videos and neglects our child. So I expose their secrets and watch them squirm as they beg for forgiveness. Before anyone says anything, I'll pretty much drop everything to help him with things like this because he has threatened to leave before. The exception is if I'm puking or can't breathe, currently sick. If he just needed to watch it to supplement when I can't and the effects didn't go further, this wouldn't bother me much. But that's never the case. When he watches it like this, he starts acting really nasty and hateful to me. And he's not watching normal stuff either. He's watching men cheating on their wives with stepdaughters and babysitters. Also, barely legal teens. And eventually, he accuses me of putting no effort into taking care of him and says the intimacy videos is doing everything for him. It also wouldn't bother me so much if he hadn't told me he'd never watch it again after I caught him watching it every time I was helping him a year ago, which led to him claiming the corn was better than me. Which, yeah, I bet it was because he gave me no feedback or instruction. Back when we first got together, he'd tell me exactly what to do and exactly how great it felt. It also wouldn't bother me so much if he didn't tell me I'm not allowed to watch porn or take care of myself because it can make you less attracted to me and lower your intimacy drive. Even though he was the one who ended the life of my intimacy drive by only wanting oral and nothing else. He rarely touches my body, and when he does, he won't give me relief. He'll just say, "Did you? Oh, no. We'll try again next time." I tried to explain that me helping myself is basically priming me for him. I also tried to explain I love hearing him make noise and would appreciate more feedback. Last night I couldn't sleep because I'm so sick I can barely breathe. and I remembered seeing a suspicious site on his search feed while he was showing me something else. I snooped and discovered he's been watching 5 to 10 videos a day for over a week now. Less than a week ago, I refused to stop going until he begged me to stop. It hurts enough that I didn't search more. I checked his messages and emails, and there's nothing else suspicious. Just the corn. I confronted him this morning after he was really nasty to me again, accusing me of being selfish and lazy and neglecting him because I got up 5 minutes early to cough my guts out into a bucket. I was fed up. I can barely catch my breath and can't raise my voice beyond speaking level. He then claimed corn isn't what made him upset with me because he wasn't watching videos of women taking care of their sick husbands. I then pointed out me and our 5-year-old are way worse off than he is. We've been sick for longer with worse symptoms, and that he also wasn't watching videos of husbands being concerned for their sick, pregnant wife. I pointed out most of what he watched could be classified as men cheating at best and predatory at worst. Stepchild and babysitter specifically. This made him threaten to stay home from work. I told him to do so, but I'm not touching him in that way until he drops the corn habit like he demanded of me. When I was watching it, I avoided anything with actual men in it because I knew that would bother him. Most of what I watched was ASMR moaning or homosexual stuff. I am attracted to women, but wouldn't act on it because I'm terrified of being rejected by a woman. I don't even know what the right course of action is here. I'm glad he didn't lie and say he never watched anything, but he also defended watching corn while still insisting I'm not allowed to even touch myself without him home. I don't want to split up. I'd never be able to support our 2 kids and third on the way on my own. But I feel so hurt and betrayed. He refuses couples counseling unless I find the place myself, make the appointment, and outright force him to go. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's treating you like an object of intimacy pleasure and believes he can control your personal pleasure. How did this even come up? And why didn't you respond with laughter? He is a manipulative individual who gains satisfaction from exerting control, demeaning and exploiting younger women, and he is doing the same to you. It is advisable to leave him. Comment 2. It is important for you to understand that this situation is not solely about intimacy or intimacy videos. It revolves around his mistreatment and lack of respect towards you. I recommend reading the free PDF, Why Does He Do That? By Lundy Bancroft. Remember, you have choices. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking with me through this. So, the situation with my husband has spiraled even more since last time. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. Remember how he was acting all nasty because of his habits? Well, it's like he's a completely different person now, and not in a good way. The other day, I caught him in a lie. He said he was working late, but I found a receipt for a bar dated the same night. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off, saying he needed some time to unwind. Unwind? While I'm at home, sick and taking care of our kids? That's when I realized his selfishness knew no bounds. And it's not just the lying. He's been getting more and more distant with our 5-year-old. Our kid asked him to play, and he just snapped, saying he was too busy. Too busy doing what? Watching those videos? It broke my heart to see our child's confused face. I've been talking to my friend, the one who's always had my back. She told me about her cousin who went through something similar. Her cousin ended up taking a stand, setting ultimatums for her husband. It got me thinking, maybe I need to do the same. But it's like every time I try to take a step forward, he pulls me 2 steps back. He's been making these snide comments about how I don't contribute financially as much as he does, as if I'm not already doing everything around the house and for our kids. It's like he's trying to make me feel small, to keep me from standing up to him. Then, yesterday, something happened that I still can't wrap my head around. He came home with this expensive watch, bragging about how he deserved it for all his hard work. I couldn't believe it. We're supposed to be saving for the baby, and there he is, spending money on himself like, we're not in this together. I've been feeling so trapped. I can't leave because of the kids and the baby on the way, but staying is eating me up inside. It's like I'm living with a stranger, not the man I married. I've been trying to reach out to him, to get him to see how his actions are tearing us apart, but it's like talking to a wall. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more tense between us, he did something that shocked me to my core. He actually went through my phone while I was asleep. He accused me of talking to other men, which is ridiculous. I've been nothing but loyal, even with everything he's put me through. I finally had enough. I told him that if he doesn't drop his habits and start treating me and the kids with respect, I'm going to have to make some tough decisions. I don't know if it got through to him, but I saw something in his eyes, a flicker of realization maybe. I just hope it's not too late for us. I'm trying to stay strong for the kids, but it's hard. Every day is a struggle and I'm just so tired. Tired of the lies, the disrespect, and the feeling of being alone in my own marriage. Thanks for reading. My boyfriend moves in and turns lazy while sneaking around with an ex. So I pack his bags and change the locks while he's out playing house. I've been living alone with flatmates for the last 3 years while attending university. 4 months ago, my boyfriend of 2.5 years moved in with me and started working with me at the same place. We work around 25-30 hours a week. I work a couple of hours more than him, and since our shifts are at the same time, we commute together. I drive because he doesn't have a driver's license yet. The flatmates aren't really present inside the house, so usually it's just me and him for weeks. At home, I'm the one in charge of basically everything because he never learned how to do anything. Also, for every chore, he finds excuses to not do them. He doesn't grocery shop or cook because he is not capable of cooking. And actually, he doesn't care about what he is eating. He could live the rest of his life just eating cereal sandwiches, frozen pizza, noodles, chips, and fast food. He said he doesn't expect a cooked meal every day like me, so I'm too pretentious. He doesn't mind cleaning the dishes, obviously I have to remind him. But he is a clean after eating type of person, and that means that sometimes the dishes pile up until we don't have any cutlery available. For now, we have found that him cleaning the dishes while I cook is a good enough solution. But some days I won't cook long enough for him to finish, or he doesn't show up in the kitchen. He doesn't do the laundry because I have more clothes than him, so he only has a couple of things that need to be washed. He doesn't even fold the laundry because he doesn't need to have folded clothes put in the drawers, just pick them when needed from a big pile. He doesn't complain only about taking the trash out, but he would let the bins overflow if I don't ask him to take the trash out and doesn't even replace the bags. We bought a robot to clean the floor, and when I left for half a week because I had to go to my parents', I found out it was stuck for a couple of days under the furniture. And he knew but didn't do anything. The last 3 months were the worst because I was writing my thesis and didn't have much time. And he complained that I wasn't spending much time with him because I was always writing, working, sleeping, cooking, or cleaning. He never did anything unless I was begging him to do it, and always saying, "I'm doing it only because it bothers you. For me, this could stay like this because I'm not pretentious." He doesn't clean in general, from the stovetop to the bathroom. He says that his perception of dirty has a way too high limit than mine. And actually, he isn't bothered by clothes laying around, the table filled with dirty dishes and crumbs and garbage that he just doesn't throw away. And he even doesn't care about dust, even though he is allergic to it. Every time he is cleaning, he is just doing a favor to me, or he is just tired of me complaining. What makes me really mad is that he is a really clean guy when it comes to his hygiene. Brushes his teeth at least twice a day, showers often, shaves completely, and he never smells bad. He has time to do things, but he just doesn't want to do them because they are not his priorities or even necessities. I know I'm not a clean maniac because my parents always complained about my messiness. I too leave things around sometimes and pile my clothes on a chair and don't do the dishes every day. Nor do I clean the house more than once every 10 days. But here we are on another level of laziness and carelessness. He totally lacks initiative and always plays the card. Just to ask me to do things. Also because he doesn't have a good memory, so he's not reliable. But I can't be his secretary, or worse, his mother. The only times I see him doing something is when I can't hold it anymore, and get angry at him, or when I start crying while doing the house chores, because I can't take it anymore. Now that I've graduated, I really want to find a way to make it work, and make him aware that cleaning is good even for him. But how? What can I tell him to change his mind about chores? Side note about our flatmates. They always clean up after themselves and actually almost never cook. So I'm not expecting more from them, since they are barely at home and share a fair load of chores. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not only is he dismissing your concerns, he is insulting you for having them. How do you ever work together to solve problems in a mutually beneficial way if he not only doesn't care about what is important to you, but also insults you for finding different things important? In a healthy relationship, both partners have equal access to money and free time. He's stealing your free time by refusing to participate in the boring grown-up stuff. If you want any chance to fix this, he needs to move back out until he can participate in an adult dynamic. Comment 2. He knows he is lazy, but he doesn't care. You will never be able to change him. Asking nicely, reminding, or tears haven't worked. Accept that you're his bang maid and do all the chores without complaining or break up with him. He doesn't respect you or the space he lives in. Be grateful that you're realizing this now. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, where do I even start? The past 2 weeks have been interesting to say the least, and not the good kind. Remember how I mentioned my boyfriend's lack of initiative around the house? Well, it's gone from bad to worse. And it's not just the chores anymore. It all kicked off when I found out he'd been lying about working late. Turns out he was actually hanging out with some new friends from work, which wouldn't be a problem if he hadn't lied. But the real kicker? One of these friends is someone he used to have a thing with before we met. I only found out because I picked up his phone to check the time and saw a message pop up that was way too familiar for comfort. I confronted him and he brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and that they were just friends now. But it's hard to believe him when he's been sneaking around. And the worst part is, I wanted to believe him so badly that I let it slide. I know, I shouldn't have, but I did. Then, as if that wasn't enough, one of our flatmates had a major blow-up. They lost their job unexpectedly and couldn't pay their share of the rent. It was a mess. They were yelling, throwing things around, and I was caught in the middle, trying to calm them down. It was like a scene straight out of a soap opera. In the end, they borrowed money from family to cover the rent. But the tension in the flat is thicker than ever. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my boyfriend did something that completely threw me for a loop. He decided, without consulting me, to invest a chunk of our savings into some sketchy online business venture his friend convinced him was a sure thing. I was furious when I found out. That was our emergency fund, and he just gambled it away on a whim. I tried to talk to him about it, about all of it, the lies, the money, the chores, but it's like talking to a brick wall. He just doesn't see the problem. He says I'm too stressed, that I need to relax and trust him more. But how can I trust someone who keeps letting me down? The flat is a mess. My relationship feels like it's hanging by a thread, and I'm just exhausted. I keep hoping he'll change, that he'll step up and take responsibility for his actions. But deep down, I'm starting to doubt that'll ever happen. And yet, here I am, still trying to make it work. Maybe it's the fear of being alone, or the thought of starting over that's keeping me here. Or maybe it's just easier to stay in this mess than to face the unknown. Whatever it is, I'm still here and he's still here, and we're just going through the motions. Thanks for reading this far. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but writing it all down helps, even if just a little. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.